All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right.
Got everything set
on the video clip, so I guess we're gonna have to. Anyway, maybe do it at the end. Sorry, off to a bad start, but what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the ASAP Wrestling Hour. I am your host, Nate the Great. I am here today with a full cast of 5 people. Ray's already showing off his shirt real quick. So Ray, what's going on
there you go side? There you go.
There you go. What's going on your side of things for down there in Florida?
It's going good. I mean, I've been by TIA Stadium, saw a couple AEW trucks in town trying to get reestablish their stuff so they can move out again. We're on the road, so they're changing their stuff at TIA Bank Field. So I've been by there, saw a couple of things going on that way. So I mean, Jacksonville's pretty much up and living, except for the football team. They're kind of dead right now. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of wish that they had an event out here in Washington. That way, I'd be able to watch, these their matches locally, like in person instead of, on TV. But with that being said, go ahead and give it to William next. How are things going over there?
Going good, man. Just podcasting, and doing my thing, man.
And next up, so Chris, how are things going on your side?
And going real good. Glad to be back. I've missed the past couple of weeks, but everything is going good right now. I'm here to talk some wrestling.
And we have a new analyst on the panel, DB. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself and how things been going on your side of things?
Yeah, man. My name's Daniel Ball. I'm the co-host for the In Off the Bench podcast. We highlight stories from college athletes all over the globe, man. We get their story, we get their career, we talk about, their upcoming seasons, good, bad, ugly, all of it, man. But, outside of that, I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and currently live in Tampa, Florida, and things are beautiful right now. It's the best time of the year to be in Florida. I'm just excited and grateful to be on the show with you guys tonight.
There's a lot of people. We have a lot of people, so it's pretty much everybody except for me living out in Florida.
Hey, they say it's a retired capital of the world.
I'm in Georgia. I'm close.
Georgia, you're close. Chris, you said
I'm in Texas.
You were in Florida. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Texas. I forgot. I thought you were in Florida for a second. Let's get right into like what we're going to be talking about, starting off with Friday Night Smackdown. Friday Night Smackdown, as I'm about to pull up my notes here, It started off, I think there was hold on, quick.
See, it wasn't very good, so Nate can't even remember what was going on.
I'm really serious trying to remember, what was good on SmackDown.
Shout out to Sasha Banks.
I mean,
that's
about the only thing.
Yeah,
I don't think memorable that happened.
Yeah,
it's kind of disappointing though, because that'd have been a WrestleMania match.
Brock Lesnar, Cole Hurst, Sami Zayn, the cat, to put his rematch on now so he can get a clear shot at him. I mean, that was just predictable.
It was kind of funny though to see Brock in that joking
That
role.
promo was honestly my favorite part. But it wasn't so
For what they've done with or what they've said about Brock Lesnar and the microphone and him, having Paul Heyman for the majority of his career, that promo was actually entertaining. It was good.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
thoroughly enjoyed it. I know Sammy is a guy that's easy with the microphone, so he probably carried him a little bit and set him up. But I mean, Brock delivered. I was all right with that, and it was kind of reassuring and nice to hear, especially when you don't see Paul Heyman, 2 inches from him.
That was his best promo since he did that work with R-Truth.
Well,
Since
you know
he did
why?
that
You know
work-
why his
and since
you know
he
why
did
his
that work with Heath Slater too.
you know why his promo is going good, right? He's wearing an earpiece.
Oh yeah,
It's
somebody
covering
tell
his-
him. Yeah,
in his ear, and Vince McMahon's reading his lines for him.
yeah, somebody feeding him. That's true. Somebody feeding him, but still good.
Because if you watch it, every time they went around to his left side, they didn't cover his left side. They always covered his right side.
I really think that he's going to be getting a new manager within the next few weeks.
Nah, man, I still think Heyman gonna turn.
The girl that's on the bump, she's going to end up being his mouthpiece. She's the one that now she's coming back, and she's going to end up being that mouthpiece for. And then there's also another rumor that Beth Phoenix might come and be part of Brock Lesnar's storyline. That's why she left NXT.
I heard it was something different why she left NXT.
Could be with Edge too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Prediction
I think
during
that
the
was gonna
draft.
happen,
I made
yeah.
that prediction during the draft. I see that coming.
And I still think Paul gonna turn on Roman. I still think it. I want to see that. I want to see that so bad.
So if that happens,
So bad.
does Paul become face or is Roman the face in that situation?
Roman will be turned face.
Mm-hmm.
But that stops everything what they building right now. Like
No,
you
they
finally
work-
got Roman in a great position as a heel.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to work Roman and the Usos back over to the face side. If you watch some of the stuff that Roman's been doing, he's been letting off on some of his stuff. But also there's a inner twist in this that Naomi is going to end up being the actual manager of the whole team, and they don't want to turn her bad.
That'd be what's up.
So
That'd be what's up. Cause once they get through with her, and her
Naomi's
storyline,
gonna.
she
Well,
gonna
that
need something to
storyline-
do.
that storyline is going to interface with Roman Reigns and them
Yeah,
eventually.
It needs to.
it really
Because
does.
because you remember Roman has problems with the management, so they're trying to bring him back. They putting a stable together with Adam Pearce and Sonya.
I still hate Adam Pearce.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like Scrap Daddy?
Oh, punk.
I don't know how they're going to turn that, Ray. You might have a better idea because, Brock Lesnar currently is the guy who has issues with upper management. It's not so much Roman. So what do they do to turn that?
Well, that's what you wanted to believe, because what they doing with Brock is actually Vince McMahon's cash horse. I mean, Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar get along very well. They trying to use that storyline to break it to where you won't pick it up at first. It's trying to reverse that into being the bad guy. So you lean on with Roman being the bad guy and Brock Lesnar leaning on to the crowd, and when they eventually pull the wool over your eyes, Roman Reigns will be good because he's going to end up helping somebody that is on the good side, and then Brock Lesnar is going to come out and try to stop it.
Now, has the damage of Roman being force fed to everybody early on is that going to hinder people from allowing to buy into the babyface part of him?
No, what you got coming up now is you got coming up the end of the year. So eventually, some of these storylines after the one pay-per-views they're going to be having here, once the break between the show goes off and Christmas break, it's a time where they can force feed everybody. Start force feeding Roman Reigns for a little while, and if you watch it, they're not really forcing him down everybody's throat again. It's pretty much started with that egg showing up at Raw and all that stuff, and how he sat down in there. He could have really tore into Vince McMahon if he wanted to. He just sit there and be quiet, on that part. So it's a way that they could do it. It's the same way they did John Cena. They force feed John Cena to everybody, and all of a sudden they stopped force feeding him a little bit, and then he ended up being everybody on the good side. See, WWE, Vince McMahon is good at certain points of selling people, and how to reverse people and stuff. But he needs to get rid of those freaking soap opera writers.
Right.
Because the soap opera writer is force feeding everybody into this Roman Reigns stuff. And if you watch some of the interviews with Paul Heyman, he said that he has to go into the writing room and edit some of their writing because they're trying to make it like a soap opera. So
I kind of feel like the actual soap opera writers for like General Hospital and all that, they do better writing than what WWE has produced.
But the writers they have is coming from God and Light, all the soap operas that are going off air. That's what they're using. One Life to Live writers, Golden, some of the CBS ones. I mean, the only ones that are still circulating is Young and the Restless and General Hospital. That's the only two soap operas that are left out of all the daytime soap opera and one on NBC. So there's only really 3 of them left. So I mean, if you look at it this way, they're using the off-cast writers who are not very good writers. I mean, the 2 top writing teams are One Life to Live and Young and the Restless, and you don't want to. And then they're not going to give up their rights until their show goes off the airs. But like I said, Vince McMahon has stopped letting wrestlers write their storylines because Michael P.S. Hayes was one of the writers. Paul Heyman was a writer. And, Paul Heyman gets a little bit more leeway because he used to be a promoter, so he can go in anytime he wants to. But Michael P.S. Hayes, man, he used to write good storylines and stuff like that. And if you could tell about the old days of wrestling, when Michael P.S. Hayes was writing, it was back to the old stage. And then, Vince is he's like what you call like the Cowboys owner. He's just like him. He's like a micromanager. And that's the problem that we have with Vince. If Vince don't go away pretty soon, WWE is going to end going back into like a little hole, and AEW is just going to walk all over him because Vince McMahon does not know how to stay out of everybody's way. And he needs to start getting into the younger crowd because right now, all of his material, he's just directing towards that NXT 2.0.
He needs to leave that alone.
Process. Yeah.
He needs to leave NXT alone. It's ruined. Yeah. Like, this show Sunday was horrible.
It's trash.
It was boring to me. Like, and I loved every single takeover. This was the worst.
To be honest with you, I know that he's no longer like he stepped away from WWE, but like if Shane was still here when Triple H had his heart problems.
Shout out to Triple H.
He should have been the one to take over until Triple H came back.
Shout out to Triple H. Get better, bro.
Yeah, I think they took the one true like gimmick that I love, outside of like the Royal Rumble match itself, but War Games, and really basically just buried the black and gold for good. Like there's no more. And I get the development of the stars and new talent, but I think what we're seeing is essentially just a performance center and a place to develop talent. I don't foresee it being big crowds, energy crowds, and true
Not back
like
in the day. Back in the day.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Because NXT was rocking at Full Sail. It was rocking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can tell who's different. Triple H is gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, Vince McMahon does not want to sell his company to his kids. And I don't know why, because it keeps in the family. But watch pretty soon. Triple H's oldest daughter is now starting to get into the wrestling business. And her key goal is, she has came out and said that her key goal is to take over WWE. So that storyline is going to be coming pretty soon when Vince McMahon decides he wants to roll a horse.
Don't understand his thought process in any of these releases he's made. You saw a couple of guys in the other night. I don't understand it.
Like very few that actually makes sense on the releases, but 90% of them are just
dumb.
Like they're dumb.
Yeah, quick. We got one of the guys from Spotlight's on. You can go ahead and introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself.
What is up? I'm Mal Gooley. I'm from Spotlight Sports Network. I cover majority of the wrestling portation over there on that network. The one thing, like I say all the time, I used to give WWE the benefit of the doubt, still do to a certain extent, because I don't, do camps. I don't go, oh, I'm on Team AEW or I'm on Team WWE. No, I'm in the middle because I just love professional wrestling. That's all I love to do. I've been watching this since 1999. So yeah, I've seen it, and shoot, I've even got introduced even more with my cousins watching stuff from the 80s and 90s. And like I tell people all the time, especially on my channel, be careful what you say about, oh, today's product is trash. Today's there's not any good stars and whatnot. I think people would here on this panel would agree that in the early 90s, everybody would have lost their shit in the early 90s. I mean, for God's sakes, we've had wrestlers in clown, teachers, garbage men, freaking Repo Man.
Stripper.
But they weren't supposed to be serious.
Like IRS.
We knew that the Goon was never gonna, compete for a title.
The Repo Man wasn't gonna do it either.
Yeah, Repo Man wasn't. He was just hilarious.
He's just hilarious, man.
Now,
Yeah.
He's just funny as all get out.
Yeah. Here
Let
you
Repo
go.
Man.
Put him back in here.
Sorry.
But yeah, if you look at it this way, I was born and I watched wrestling throughout. I didn't really get big until the 1980s. I started watching when I was 5 years old in 1975. And my first match I watched was Blackjack Mulligan. And only why I watched that match was because he was beating some dude up and blood was just squirting everywhere. That's my big thing, was just you seeing blood everywhere. You seeing that fact that caught your eye. Well, what put me really, really on the map was in 1980 when Ric Flair was in Greensboro, North Carolina at Starrcade, the very first Starrcade against Harley Race in a steel cage match.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually first row, mid cage when they entered into the cage, and Ric Flair I didn't want him doing anything. My dad was just standing there, and he came over, gave me 5 before he entered the ring. After the match was over, he let me hold the title. And the only reason he did that was because my dad was his personal security guard that night.
Wow.
That's amazing.
We ain't gonna sit here and just hey, look, Harley Race was the man. I'm just gonna say that. You can say whatever you want, but in the ring, he was the man. But
after that match and everything goes off, Harley Race gave everybody what he was. I mean, he was a heel at the time.
Yep.
And even after the match, he came over and shook everybody's hand. He had enough time. But today's wrestling, if you look at from that period all the way up to time, when you got to the early 90s, it really it's like a peak in the valley. It peaked down, it began, it come back up, peaked down again, and came back up again. Right now, we're in a down valley for WWE. And I'm not saying all the talents are trash or anything. It's just the storyline. Yeah. It's just the writers. And if you put soap opera writers into WWE, they don't have a first bit of what it is. Even though people are directed as a male soap opera. Wrestling was a male soap opera. That was the theme for it. But, I mean, it's not a soap opera. It was a good telling story in the ring. Less stuff happened outside the ring than in the ring. And now you're getting stuff more outside the ring that instead of happening in the arena itself. And like the last few shows, sometimes they didn't even pipe in the backstage, what was going on in the backstage. They just kept all the audience in blind. Now they're starting to pipe that back in. So if you watch WWE, they just got to get a good storyline. Like Monday Night Raw, Liv Morgan, that match was great all the way up to the point that she put her hand until she put her hand, and then she put her hand on the thing. But out of that, what caught everybody's attention was that little girl in the audience who stood there and stared. And after that was all over, then you get the aftermath, because most people don't go back and look what happened at the aftermath of when Raw goes over. They just go on, they move on to the next show. Right. Well, I want this show to be, why I sent everybody a text and stuff today was I wanted to turn this show around a little bit, because everybody on the network, everybody on different podcasts is just reading what's going on in the matches. We started doing that. It got kind of boring after 2 or 3 weeks after I watched it. So I want to make this like a discussion roundtable and tell you what happened after Raw goes off. What happens into reports that, wrestlers interact with the little kid. Liv Morgan found out who it was, sent her a personal tweet saying, "Hey, I'm sorry what was going on. I hated myself. I hated it too, but we're gonna get her next time." Just to show a little bit of not jumping out of kayfabe into the area, just going with her role as and trying to help somebody. See, wrestlers are humans too, and they do a lot of stuff outside of the ring, but nobody really tells what they do outside of the ring. They bring it up on the shows a little bit, and they stopped doing that recently too. And if you haven't noticed that too, it used to be to have a break and saying these wrestlers did this and this and that, but you don't even see that no more. I mean, they're not showing it so much. Charlotte Flair has a bad rep because of what she did backstage with Becky Lynch and all that, but she's also going through a turmoil in her breakup with Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows that they were dating. Now they're having a big major breakup, and that's her breakup is leading to what she's doing now, and it's because she's having a hard time with it, and she is now seeing counseling, and that's what everybody's getting bad reps. I gave Charlotte a bad rep at certain points of time in the shows and stuff like that because I didn't know what was going on. I digged a little bit deeper, and I called my buddies in North Carolina who actually knows Charlotte Flair a little bit more than I do, and they saying, yeah, she's having a hard time, and that's the reason she backed out on Becky Lynch that night because Becky said one thing wrong and then set her off. So, I mean, you got to feel what these wrestlers are doing too, but you also got to feel what Vince McMahon is doing in the process. Vince McMahon is what, almost 80 some years old, or a little bit over 80,
like literally almost 80.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at him, his voice is starting to go. He needs to stop what he's doing and just back off, and not being the much and let other people run the company that knows a little bit more. And he's gone from that era from the 80s up to now. He's carried the WWE to a point. Now it's time for somebody new to come in to carry it to a next point.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard, but now that that Nick Khan is supposed to be taking over, and I don't know how to feel about that.
I saw that earlier. I still don't believe it.
What's the purpose of having Triple H get into the business if you don't let him run it?
Well, Triple H right now, he can't do anything. His doctors are not letting him do anything because of the heart condition, the heart surgery. He has to pass a little bit more of physical to get into a thing. But I mean, that. But also, if you look at some reports too, Triple H's daughter is now starting to get into the business. She's learning how to wrestle now. But also, she has come out and said that she's going to end up taking a storyline, or they're going to end up overthrowing her uncle, and her grandfather, and that's going to be the next story, part of a big storyline coming up. And when he starts to decide he wants to let go, and so, but also there's shell companies out there too that's protecting Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon's and stuff like that. If they end up buying it, they're going to end up turning it over to either one of them. So that's going to be a big battle here between Stephanie and Shane, unless Stephanie and Shane decide they want to get together and try to overthrow their father. And
so I have a question real quick. With the whole granddaughter storyline, when do you see that happening? If it comes up, pretty soon?
It's going to be probably about
turns 80.
It's going to probably be about 3 or 4 more years down the road because she's got to learn how to wrestle first.
How old is she?
Okay.
She's 17, I believe. She's either 16 or 17 because you can't start wrestling school until you're about 16 or 17 years old. Even though she has special permission from all of them, they don't let you get in the ring till you're like 17, 18 years old because your body's got to mature to a certain age. Because I looked into it when I was 16, they told me I was too young because my body, the bones and stuff, I couldn't take the breaks and falls as you can when you're 18 and 19 years old. So, but yeah, if you get, like certain things in WWE and certain things in life and certain things that you got to recognize. Some of these storylines it doesn't sit well with fans because they can't believe what they're saying. Like head of the table, it's a Samoan thing. That is a big Samoan culture. And most of the people are not Samoan. So, I mean, the head of the table to me didn't recognize to me because it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do. When you want to feel something, and I mean, people, you could believe in some of your storylines. Like Ric Flair. You believe Ric Flair because actually Ric Flair lived his life as Ric Flair, out of the ring. Limousine, jet flying, all that. He did all that. Dusty Rhodes backed him up on it. The son of a plumber. Dusty Rhodes was the son of a plumber. You could believe all that. Magnum TA with his storyline. So, I mean, to me, Raw, certain things in Raw, it was good. Liv Morgan match was good. I can believe Liv because I've seen her train. If you watch some of the training videos that Liv Morgan has done, where the Undertaker used to have his old wrestling hideout that nobody knew about until he opened up in his thing at the end. That's what she's training with. She's training with Michelle McCool and the Undertaker here in Palatka. You know, so I mean, that's something that you got to look at on the outside. Most people watch Raw and say, "Okay, it's bad," and then they talk about it. It's bad. It's bad. But you gotta live on the outside of it too. See, being a true wrestling fan, you have to live what the characters are. You have to see what is outside. And when social media came up, that's when now everybody can dive into it. But most people don't want to dive into it, and that's the problem.
That's why I don't, have do camps. The last time I did a camp, and that was in the Monday Night Wars, because back then I didn't really like WCW. And, with the attitude there and everything else coming in, you had The Rock, Austin, and all of them, DX. I've only seen like a couple of WCW shows when I was, little. I think the first one was Hogan and Goldberg. And I think this was at the time when Goldberg was about to lose that streak. And this is my personal opinion. I don't know how anybody else is going to take it. Obviously, Kevin Nash should have never broke it. Personally, to me, the person who should have beaten Goldberg's streak should have been DDP. Why not put the plug in? DDP was red hot in 90,
he was
98, 99-ish. So,
and he had a lot of respect from the guys in the back around that time, too.
Like, I would not mind seeing DDP break the streak. It would have been way better than Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
So, like an unexpected diamond cutter I would take an unexpected diamond cutter over a freaking taser.
Yeah.
Like, I would take Mick Foley winning the WWE Championship over the finger poke of doom.
Yeah. So, let's go around everybody and see how y'all got into being a wrestling fan. So we're going to start with DB.
Yeah, man. So as a kid, growing up in Memphis, Mid-South Wrestling, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, the Moondogs, Kamala. I mean, even, guys like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man spent some time down in Memphis. And, when you're from there, you just kind of get embedded in it. It's a local thing. You go to the Coliseum every Saturday. You get it on TV every Saturday morning as well. And it just becomes the thing. And then as I was growing up, Hulk Hogan's, blowing up. He's telling you to say your prayers, eat your vitamins. Every little kid could be a Hulkamaniac, and that's what I wanted to do. And so you take it a step further, and I start like really watching, pay-per-views and stuff. I remember going to Blockbuster because I would spend the night at my grandmother's house and I needed something to do for hours. And I would just go rent the 1990 Royal Rumble over and over and over because I knew Hulk Hogan won. He throws out Mr. Perfect. He wins the Royal Rumble, and I like reenact the Royal Rumble every single time I watched it. So, I mean, that's really how I got into it, and it was just an experience with friends, and it was experience with my family that you always remember where you were when certain big wrestling things happen. So that's my story. That's how I got into it, and that's how I still love it today.
All right, Chris, your turn.
Actually kind of similar to DB. Went to this old movie store. It was called 49 and More. The rentals were 49 cents a day. It was I think it was like a Thanksgiving or something. My mom let me pick out my own movie. I was just walking down the aisle and I saw like it was like a colorful image of WrestleMania 8. Okay, I want this one. This is the tape I picked up. I know my grandmother, she used to watch wrestling. Her favorite was Sting. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll see Sting on here. I don't know anything, So get it, go home, put it in. This is a cassette, the VHS tape. So it wasn't rewound. So the first thing that pops on is Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. First match I get to see. Wow. What the heck? This man's in paint. This other guy, he's coming out in a skirt. I'm 5 at the time, so I don't know what to kill. But okay. Like that has my attention. And then like you get into that match. I don't know if y'all ever seen this match or not, but it's one of my favorites. One, because it's the first one I saw, but like go back and watch it. This is a hell of a match. Piper has the moment where is he gonna do the heel thing? Is he gonna hit Bret with the belt or with the bell? No, he doesn't. Then the counter, the roll up off the turnbuckle, the sleeper. That's the first time that's ever been done. That's Piper's first pin. Just from that moment on, I was hooked. That show had Flair versus Savage. I mean, never looked back after that.
All right, Nate, your turn.
Nate.
So I had 2 stints with WWE. First one was I might be off on the year, but it was probably around 2007, 2008. I was 5, 6, somewhere around that time, and I just remember watching. I just remember watching wrestling with my dad, and when the commercial came on, instead of sitting there watching through the commercials, the boring commercials, Dad and I would often be the ones wrestling out in the apartment on the couch, and until the show came back on. And I just remember being a big when Matt Hardy and MVP had a tag team. I was a big fan of that tag team.
I love them two together.
Yeah. I was a real big fan of that tag team. Matt Hardy was probably my favorite wrestler during that stint. I stopped because, that was a long story, but something about, wrestling WWE was, a little too inappropriate for like a 5, 6, 7-year-old. I haven't really paid attention to it until about, it was earlier this year, actually. Earlier this year, it was January 2020. I was actually, at the time, I was running production here on the ASAP network for 2 wrestling shows, who unfortunately they're no longer part of the network, but watching their show got me into watching wrestling again.
All right, Mr. Spotlight, you got any more you want to add to your story?
Shockingly, it wasn't TV that got me into wrestling. When
Video games.
Yep. The first ever wrestling video game I've owned, still have it, still works to this day, WWF Warzone. And
What
then
system?
for the PlayStation. So I'm playing that, and I'm like, the first person I played with is Ahmed Johnson. I'm like, okay, this guy's cool, is awesome. Knock him in the river, Ahmed. And then, I'm watching an episode of Raw, and it was the night after Survivor Series 99. I think it was when Austin got ran over by a car. And, I saw The Rock and his promos and how, cool he looked with all these wacky shirts, the sunglasses, the big sideburns, the hair. I'm like, then he would talk trash. But here's the thing about it. Him and Piper got something in common. They talk trash, but they back it up. And that's why I always love the People's Champ, The Rock. And then, a Friday after school, I watched ECW. I think it was their debut on TNN. And I think it was the Dudley Boys. It was their final. I think it was a repeat of something. It was their final night. And I guess it was a repeat because I'm like, wait a minute, where's these guys on Monday Night Raw? I'm like, all right. So it was a repeat. They showed when Raven came out from wherever he came from, literally even flows. I think it's Bubba Ray and pins Bubba Ray. Him and Dreamer become tag team champions. And I'm like, okay, what just happened? Whoever this dude is, the leather jacket and whatnot, I'm like, I'm cool with that. I'm like, he just came out from the crowd. I'm like, all right, so a fan just came out of the crowd. I didn't know until I looked in WCW and ECW. Paul Heyman, thank God he gave an update on who Raven was, and I'm like, So this dude just left a multi-billion-dollar company just to come back here for pouring less people? I'm like, all right, cool. And for people that say, oh, you're too young to know ECW, upstairs in my cabinet, I have Barely Legal 97 all the way to ECW One Night Stand 05.
Awesome.
And no, I do not have 06 because I don't count that as an ECW pay-per-view. That's more of an ECW versus WWE pay-per-view. So yeah, I got like almost every single ECW, actually every single ECW pay-per-view ever distributed.
You got to get 06 though, man.
Yeah,
Van Dam
you
won the
do.
title.
I mean,
you
06
just
was
got to add it
good.
just for that reason.
I mean, 06 was good, but
It's Van
there
Dam
was a
getting the
few things I
title.
wanted to change on that card.
Nothing else matters. Van Dam won the title.
Yep.
Yeah, Van Dam won the title. And also, personally, I really would have wished if the Sandman came out and helped Dreamer and Funk, because that would have been typical ECW classic there. If Funk can't go, I'm like, Paul Heyman was like, okay, he can't go. Bring in the Sandman.
I do have a confession I need to make. I haven't seen very many Rob Van Dam matches. I've seen a few, but I haven't seen very many Rob Van Dam matches because my dad, he's a hater. He's not a fan of Rob Van Dam. So
Rob was all right.
Like
Rob was amazing.
Yeah, he was all right.
now,
I mean,
I don't know
you
what
know,
the dude's got going on in his life.
When he
but...
had when they gave him that push, he was straight.
All right.
Personally, I think they should have put the belt
Let's
on
run
him
some old-
in 03.
Let's run some old school on these guys now.
Oh,
Why?
my-
How you become a wrestling fan?
I'm figuring running some old school on y'all. I started watching wrestling while I was in my crib. I was 3 years old. My grandma used to babysit me a lot. And the thing that she used to watch is the old NWA Championship Wrestling. And if I ain't never heard Mr. Wrestling number 1, Mr. Wrestling number 2, Tommy Wi-Fi Rich. Let me get Tommy Wi-Fi Rich up in here. Let me get Tommy Wi-Fi Rich. Man, and then it just grew from that point. And it was just an amazing ride from 3 years old to now. Those guys 1 and 2, Superstar 1 and 2, Rock and Roll Express. They get into a little bit what we know, the Midnight Express. Midnight Express was amazing to me because they won both the World Tag Team and the US titles, had both at the same time. That was just amazing to me. Then you started to get more into Rick and Scott. You got in the Magnum TA's legendary run. He would have been a champion if it weren't for his accident. Wrestling is just amazing to me, and to see where it is right now is a little bit hurtful coming from where I come from, because where I come from, wrestling back then was pure. We didn't have any of this 2 hour, none of this corporate bull crap that we got going on right now. Wrestling was pure. You saw everything up front. You saw everything, no backstage stuff. Everything was done up front. Even run-ins happened up front. You remember Kendall Windham, Barry Windham, the Lex Luger starting out from Florida. All that happened on stage up front of the camera. None of that stuff was backstage for a long time. And to see where wrestling is right now, it's kind of disheartening, because when I started it, it was pure. When Ray started watching it with Dusty Rhodes, it was pure. And now it's not. And that's the most disappointing part of it to me.
Well, my story is I pretty much told everybody my story. My story didn't even start with WCW. It didn't even start with no organization wrestling. My wrestling started in backyard wrestling with Matt and Jeff Hardy, the Hardy Boys. I was in their organization. They started in a backstreet brawl. I just happened to be walking down the street in my grandmother's house, who lived near them. I had my cousin with me. We had our face paint out because it was Halloween night, and we looked like the Road Warriors. I looked like Hawk. I looked like Animal. My cousin looked like Hawk. We were walking down the street, going trick or treating. We actually stopped at his dad's house, and they were acting in the backyard wrestling. They peeked out and saw us. They said, "Y'all two, come on. We need one spot for a tag team." So we got into a tag team battle. I picked up Matt Hardy, and my cousin gets up on the top of the ropes and did a doomsday device on it. It was so devastating, and made him flip. We pinned him. We ran out of there with the title like with nothing. And then to that day, Matt and Jeff Hardy, Every time I see them, they always talked about that. That was the one match that they always wanted to put on TV. But we didn't take no wrestling school like they did. But we just played with them. But then, as my career moves on into watching wrestling, at all places, my wrestling started in World Championship Wrestling at the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas.
Ooh-wee.
That was when I started watching wrestling. It was with the Von Erichs, Kevin, Fritz, Kerry, Mike. Then they had their cousin Lance join in, and the Freebirds. When they came to World Championship Wrestling, they started it. Skandor Akbar, Percy Pringle, before he became Paul Bearer. He was there. And I mean, and Adonis.
Yep.
Gentleman Chris Adams.
Yep. Best super kicker wrestling.
And then I moved on to WCW, NWA at the time, when the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, Dusty Rose, Magnum TA, the Raging Bull, Mandy Fernandez, all those, the Barbarian, the Warlord, Midnight Express, the Road Warriors, AWA, when it was on ESPN. Every time I got out of school at 4:00, I had to kick my dad off the TV because we didn't have cable, but we happened to get ESPN at a certain part of the day on the television. And I kicked him off the TV. And my dad said, "You watching that wrestling?" I said, "Yeah." So we got there and we watched it. And then that's when my dad says, "Oh, you want to go to see Starrcade up in Greensboro, North Carolina?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I got to go work, but I'll take you there and drop you off." Well, I didn't know my dad at the time was going to be Ric Flair's bodyguard that night. He didn't actually know until he got there. And my dad sent Ric Flair over to pick on me because he knew who he was. And then, the Holly Race and all them. So, but that back in the day, people didn't understand that wrestlers back in the day, after they got finished their matches, we go to the Waffle House. Here comes Ric Flair in the Waffle House with the Four Horsemen and Dusty Rhodes. After Dusty Rhodes gets his butt beat by Ric Flair and dragged across a parking lot at the Dortmund Arena. And I don't know if y'all know that skit when he was on the truck and they dragged him. He actually got dragged. It was not a deployed or no fake or green screen. He actually drove him all the way across.
Didn't they have to do that take twice?
They did it 3 times.
Jesus.
I watched all 3 takes.
Wow.
And the first take was they went over a bump and Dusty Rhodes jumped so high off the bump and landed back down. They thought he was hurt. So they cut the tape. He said, "No, I'm good. Second time was he almost got hit by a transfer truck because they ran the barricades. So they had to stop that. and you never forget Dusty Rhodes' expression. He says, "If I have to do this one more time, I ain't going to have no back left." And you can see the blood on his back and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's when wrestling was pure. And that's when wrestling was, 100% in the ring, outside the ring, all day long, because you didn't have the social media to go back and do what you do today.
Go Dave Meltzer.
And then you don't have all these outlets doing these, rumor mills and stuff like that. You know how you get your rumor mill? You call the 1-800 number and you took the 242. First
you pay
Mean
Gene.
Yeah, your first minute is free.
For your tips.
Your first minute was free, and after that was 99 cents each additional minute. My dad got a phone bill that was almost $150. And he said, "Why'd you call these wrestling hotlines?" I said, "I'm trying to get the good scoop." So that's only back in the day you had it. I mean, and then they came up with the ice cream, the
ice cream bars.
Ice cream. And then you talking about video games, the first video game I played with wrestling was in the arcade. Back when the first WrestleMania.
First video game I played in wrestling was that WCW game for the first Nintendo.
Yeah, no, the first wrestling game I played, I got suspended from school. I went to the arcade. Until my dad found out I got suspended from school.
Thumb wrestling. First game I played.
That's cheating.
So, but I mean, we all have interesting, good wrestling stories that we got to listen to and stuff like that. But today's wrestling, if you look at what we look at now, it's more entertainment. AEW is more wrestling. WWE is more entertainment. And I don't like that because when we grew up with WWF And that was just, and I mean, most of the time on Saturday mornings, you know, they used to have what you call scrub matches. You know, the good guy go out there and beat the scrub match, or the bad guy go out there and tear them all up and stuff like that. And that was kind of good, you know, at the time, because you could create different storylines out of the thing. Because on Saturday nights, you see them beating up some scrub, you know, and they have a run in here and there. So I mean, today's wrestling, you see it all out. You know, everybody's really no scrub, you know, squash match. You're making a good guy look like a squash when you do these quick squash match like they did.
Kofi Kingston,
Bianca Belair too.
Yep.
Becky Lynch came back.
23 seconds thing. Yeah, I hated that.
Sammy just got squashed.
Yep.
Oh my God! Live streaming SummerSlam.
Kofi never got his get back.
No, he never got his.
He was happy the very next week. He back out there throwing pancakes.
Like, nah, bro, you lost the title.
So let's
dang happy.
Let's get everybody's opinions here. Becky Lynch, is she going to lose the title anytime soon?
To who? That's my question. So no, like who? When your biggest star that you build up for over a year gets beat in 45 seconds.
I think they're going to push the I think they're going to push the rivalry between her and Liv Morgan a little bit more, and I think they might give Liv Morgan the title maybe in like the next 3 or 4 pay-per-views.
Spotlight. Let's say Team All Elite.
I just feel that with her, they gave up on her on Bianca too soon, because the minute she got that title, they traded her to Raw, or she ended up on Raw, and I just feel they gave up on that too soon. That could have been a nice little feud going on between those two.
Well, I think they're going to have to revisit something with the Rumble in January. They're going to have to, if Becky's going to hold on to the title and carry it through Mania, then to me, like, Bianca becomes the number one person to win the Royal Rumble in that regard.
Right. You think that they let her go back to that?
I mean, like, it comes down to who else.
I mean,
you can build Rhea.
Yeah, you could do Rhea. You could.
But you've done that already. And she done lost one title. She don't need to lose no more. I'm just kidding.
Like, to me, like, personally, and this is just me, I don't think Bianca will win the Rumble. I think they'll probably showcase how big of a threat she really can be. And, you know, was after the Rumble, the Elimination Chamber. I would not be surprised if they
are they doing it this year though, because they're restructuring their whole their
whole pay-per-view lineup. Yeah, day one would be on my birthday.
Damien brought up a comment. I just want to address a comment real quick. Damien brought a comment. Becky Lynch will lose her title when Asuka comes back, if she comes back. If Asuka comes back, I can see her and Xia Li becoming a tag team.
Asuka's on.
Problem is, I don't see Asuka coming back.
Asuka's on SmackDown though.
But you also got Lacey Evans floating around there too. So
I don't put no stock in Lacey Evans at all. I don't put no stock in her at
all.
Like,
to me, I think Sasha's winning the Rumble. I think they're gonna do Sasha versus Charlotte at Mania. Charlotte will put Sasha over. Sasha wins her first ever WrestleMania, and with a bonus prize, get the SmackDown Women's Championship. I think SmackDown's already set in my book. Toni Storm, I love her, but oh my God, the way how they did her on Black Friday, I hated that.
That whole angle is it's just silly.
But Toni Storm deserves the rub though.
Then get in there and have a good match and lose some kind of way, but don't why are we throwing pies on people?
Like, I thought the Diva era was over with.
You still continuing the doggone thing.
And then, like, with the Raw portion, like, you could like personally, when I watched Liv versus Becky last night, I was like, okay, are they really gonna put the belt on Liv? Let's see what they do. And they almost had me. And then when Becky did what she did, I'm like, part of me was angry, but I shouldn't be mad, because, like, if let's all agree or disagree here. If Liv would have won, do you think Liv would hold that belt all the way till Mania?
No.
No,
She would lose it at day one.
no. Mm-hmm.
She
Maybe
would
it's
lose it
day
at day
one,
one.
but it'd be before Mania.
That's why they didn't. That's why they didn't let her win. You know that match was all about see how she was going to handle Becky Lynch if she could handle the chemistry between the two. And I think the chemistry was great all the way up to that point when they were leading up to that point through the promos and all that leading up to this point, and then actually getting in the ring and wrestling. I thought I was very built up, and I thought this was very built up because she's a heel. She cheated to win. She didn't. Liv Morgan didn't lose. Becky didn't win cleanly. She lost the way she did. Vince has got a plan for Liv Morgan, and we don't know exactly where it's going to happen, but that was just a trial run to see the chemistry between the two.
And
I have a feeling that Liv could win the Women's Battle Royal and have her set up for WrestleMania to win the actual belt at WrestleMania to give her WrestleMania moment, and then have her run it all the way up through Survivor Series, and then after she loses the belt in Survivor Series, probably going to see her go bye-bye because her contract will be up by December, I think, of next year.
And
So
to
she
raise
could
credit-
go by. She can go bye-bye, and they already been planning her and Ruby Riott over in AEW, planning on kindling the Riot Squad back together with Sarah Morgan coming out of retirement.
Now, I just want to say kudos to back Ray's point. How long is it taking for Liv Morgan to get to this point?
It took her almost 3 or 4 years because she was a tiny star. She had to earn her way up, and I think she has earned her bumps. And this and her Becky Lynch chemistry last night was excellent because, I looked at the match, and when I look at matches, I look at it two or three different ways. I have a slow-mo machine. After the match is over, I'll take it out of there. I cut the video out because I have a program to do it. Then I go back and watch it in slow motion. And you watch everything in slow motion, you can tell everything to how the choreography is going. But you know who actually was calling that match last night? And I guarantee y'all probably won't get it.
Probably Liv.
Liv was calling the match the whole time.
Liv.
Because Becky Lynch came to her. If you watch it, when the first hold was close together, Becky said, "You're calling it. I'm not calling it. You're going to call it." And she called that whole entire match up to the point where she knew that she was going to cheat to win because it was already worked out that way. But all the way up to that point, Liv Morgan called that match. And that was if you look at it, you thought the veteran was calling it.
So let me ask you this, Ray. Somebody like Bailey, does that hurt Liv Morgan in this push if she
That's a
comes
whole
back?
different ball game right there.
Well,
There's been rumors that she would come back at the Rumble.
My thing is she's coming to SmackDown, and they're gonna throw a loophole in it, and she's gonna end up going back with Sasha Banks for a while because they already been talking about it because they want that one last run together. I have a feeling that if Sasha wins the belt, it's going to be the help by Bailey. That's when Bailey's going to show up and help her win that belt.
I'm cool with that
because they didn't want to keep her away from Liv Morgan. Right now, Liv Morgan has got that down Raw. It has everybody, looking. If you look at that fan, that was the first case, and that was Vince McMahon saying with the crowd reaction, and that's why they went to that one fan. Vince picked that fan out quick, and you see how quick that camera went to her. So Vince knew that the crowd was into it and knew exactly what was going to happen at one pinpoint of the time because they've been monitoring that crowd the whole time. If you watch that back camera, they never went to that back camera. That back camera was searching the thing, and they found that fan perfectly, into that match. They cut that camera right on her, and soon that match is over, bam, maybe like 2 or 3 seconds, they went right to her, like the Undertaker fan, when the Undertaker guy,
or that little
when
angry
Brock
little
Lesnar broke the streak.
Yeah,
I was there.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys see a situation where Charlotte gets released?
Released?
Mm-hmm.
At
Well,
one
with her and Andrade, no.
No, at one point it was.
Yeah, I can see it.
At one point you seen
more,
but when Andrade and that thing came out saying they broke up, and then a couple of my buddies who knows actually Charlotte Flair personally called me up and said, "Hey, she doesn't look good. She ain't doing good. The Becky thing is she has gone to counseling right now for a relationship problem because this is the second brutal relationship she had broken up, and it was both caused by another person cheating on her, and she found out Andrade was cheating on her. And
wow,
Aleister Black hasn't come out and said anything yet, but it was with Selena Vega.
Oh, whoa!
keeping it hush hush. But my buddy kind of slipped it out and said, yeah, Savannah Vega when they were together in Raw, when they went on road trips, them two were actually sleeping together, and they were trying to hide it, and it finally came out, and Charlotte finally found out about it.
Wow.
So at one point, she was working on her release to go over there, but now that has gone haywire. So now she's got to go back and try to cool everybody back at WWE.
Wow.
And she's even came out and said she wants to stay at WWE now.
Well, I'm hearing she's having a lot of bad time backstage with a lot of the wrestlers.
A lot
back
of
there.
heat.
No.
Yeah, a lot of heat.
Here comes the question. Here comes the question that I have. If Selena Vega and Charlotte Flair were on the same brand, do you think that they would have started a rivalry with that going on?
No, Vince
I
won't
mean,
put
it
her in.
wouldn't be like another Matt and Edge Lita type of situation.
not now.
No, they're never going to do something like that.
Yeah,
Especially when Vince sees how devastated Charlotte is right now. That's why they're trying to keep them a long way apart.
Okay.
Can you highlight that comment from Damien, please?
Did he say Dana
don't.
Brooke deserves a title shot?
No, hold on. Let me explain this because Damien is our normal troll on the Spotlight Sports Network. He says a lot of random things. So, I'm going to keep it professional, like I normally do. It's kind of hard to take somebody seriously when 2 years ago they slipped and fall on Stephanie McMahon's office thinking that they won Money in the Bank. It's really hard to take somebody that's serious.
You can't talk about a slip and fall. I mean, Mandy Rose slipped and fell at WrestleMania, and now
look what happened to her on NXT right now.
Yeah. So.
Personally, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't put Dana with Mandy. Personally, I think Dana should have went with Mandy on NXT. But the way I was going, I think the writing's on the wall with all these releases and whatnot. I'm shocked Dana Brooke is still there.
Okay, I didn't want to be the one to say it because I don't want anybody to lose their job.
I'm shocked that
she's still there too.
Me too.
Like I'm shocked that she's still there. I was like, okay, it's gonna be her. It's gonna be her. Got to be Dana. Where's Dana on there? No, you're keeping Dana. Okay, but at least you get to win a meaningless championship before you get out. I'll give them that.
Yeah, 24/7.
Yeah, like I just want to know. Question is, Cedric Alexander. Like when she pinned him, I was like I love Cedric. Now, I think that dude has a long way. Will he be successful in WWE? I mean, former Cruiserweight champion. I thought that they would do something with him, have a good U.S. championship run or something like that. I like the fact they did turn him heel to go with the Hurt Business, and then they broke that up. Then he has a feud with all these legends, and didn't he win lost all of his matches with the legends? I mean, I know he beat Shelton. He lost to Hardy. And I think he's 1 or 2 when he was in that little bit of a storyline. Then reunite with Shelton Benjamin, be back with the Hurt Business, break up the Hurt Business again, and now be a tag team with Shelton Benjamin. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
All right, so was WWE
another person that should have been a world heavyweight champion a long time ago too.
So what's WWE doing Bobby Lashley now?
You think they're gonna do a fatal 4-way at day one?
No.
Well,
after last night,
Bobby, I think Bobby's next opponent. Bobby's next opponent. I think they might put Bobby instead from him in the main event picture. I think they'll put him back in the U.S. title picture to test with Damian Priest.
That'd be a damn shame.
You go from World's title back to USC.
That'd be a damn shame.
Personally, I think Bobby should have went to SmackDown. Him and MVP.
I mean, Bobby Lashley should be fighting
Brock. One more time.
Thank you, DB.
Thank you. Wow, they're missing out on that. Like, why not? Like,
Bobby Lashley's going to outclass the U.S. the division, the contender for the U.S. title. He's going to outclass all of them.
I think it was. I don't remember who. One of you 5 said this about. Anyway, I agree that Bobby Lashley and MVP should have gone to SmackDown.
He
I
don't
think
stop
I
trolling.
think that question was highlighted for
If
me.
he don't stop trolling,
Let me say this. Damien. Let me tell you something. Oscar never had a serious gimmick. Okay, clearly you didn't watch NXT.
nope.
Now keep highlighting the comment because there were some more highlights on there.
I just
What else did he say? Mickey James was a stalker, but it was an entertaining job to the point she did the one thing which WWE censored. If whoever has the DVD, you are a lucky son gun. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Can't do the gesture, but yeah. But here's the thing: Mickey James was a nut job, but she was taken as a serious threat to Trish Stratus's title. Dana Brooke, what does Dana have? Muscles. Okay, big whoop. Okay, Jay Cargill has more charisma than Dana. Dana just doesn't have a character. She doesn't.
and Jay, she was in the news this week. About her little incident, her little stuff over in AEW. My thing is this: I think she's taking it the wrong direction. I don't think it's the fact that she's African American. I think it's the fact she's still green, and she has to get better in the ring. I don't have anything to do with her being African American. She just needs to get
on the
better.
main roster, not NXT. He's not talking about NXT. He's saying main roster. Asuka's never had a serious gimmick.
Even on the
same
main
gimmick.
roster. Okay, out of everyone in the four
when she came
horsewomen,
over.
if you took them out, she is the one that's more successful. She's won every single title. She's also had like a gimmick. The only thing I hated that they did with Asuka was made her into like the equivalent of the Tasmanian devil when she tried to do commentary.
Now the only thing that made me mad.
I loved
Asuka
Asuka on commentary. She was
only
my
thing that made me
favorite.
mad with Asuka
She
is
was
when
funny.
the only thing that
She
made
was the
me
best
mad
thing
with
during the
Asuka.
pandemic.
The only thing that made me mad with Asuka is how they did it when she lost to
To
Carmella.
Charlotte, that should have never happened.
No, not even Charlotte. You understand Charlotte, but when she lost to Carmella, I didn't get it.
That was bad.
I didn't get it.
Ridiculous. I didn't see that live because I wasn't there. I wasn't there yet. I joined right around when Miz had the title.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big Miz fan. D's a big Miz fan. I made a bet with D1 saying Miz is not holding that belt till Mania. They only did this because hey, the Money in the Bank. We got to do something with it.
I never liked Miz ever since he married my girl Maurice. I never liked him. Once he
I
married
never
her, I
liked him
never
to
liked him.
begin with. I thought he was just annoying.
Nope.
I thought but the only thing I can give Miz is that he can cut a good promo. I can give him that. He can cut
and he is a good
promo.
But he's a good hand too, Ghoul. You got to give him that.
He's good talent. He has a good promo, except that
he's a good hand.
Very
at least
annoying.
He's a good hand.
He can do whatever you throw at him. He's going to be above average at.
Right. He's going to make it work. He's going to make it work.
He might not be great at it. There are things that he's great at, but everything that you ask him to do, he's going to be above average.
Like I think my favorite feud from the Miz has to be with his feud with Ziggler for the IC title. That was one of my favorite feuds for the Miz at that time. The whole Shane McMahon thing, I was like, okay, Miz is going to turn. Miz is going to turn. They're not going to have Shane be. Oh, you have Shane be a heel.
That's another dude they did dirty. Dolph Ziggler. That's another dude.
Yeah, oh my God. I thought Dolph was going to get a big push when Sting came out there and helped him.
Yeah, and then
too, man.
So when we can say the one thing here about Mickey James. You know where they found Mickey James at, right?
I think I remember.
They found Mickey James at an Olive Garden.
Yeah,
an Olive Garden.
She was I met her there because I have a cousin that actually dated her. And he lived up in Chesterfield, Virginia, right outside of Richmond, Virginia. And he took me to the Olive Garden. She was a waitress. And when I seen her pop up when the Trish Stratus first started out being that stalker, I'm like looking at her. I'm like, that's that girl that's sitting in the thing. Vince McMahon liked her. For some reason, from her waitress gig, he liked her from the get-go, hired her, brought her in, put her on this thing. Boom. She turned into a superstar.
Man, y'all gotta remember what you tell Ray, boy, because Ray remember everything. My boy remember everything.
So I have
pulling up backstories from Olive Garden.
I have a question actually.
Didn't
Justin Criddle work at Olive Garden too?
If you who has SmackDown versus Raw 2008? Because they even put that on the game.
Oh
But she used to work at Olive Garden.
Oh wow. I think it was Taylor Wilde that worked at Sunglass Hut.
Oh, Taylor Wilde.
That sounds familiar.
She's
I
back.
think it was Taylor Wilde that worked at Sunglass Hut.
I'm so happy she's back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, they have the store down in Tampa somewhere that Hulk Hogan always goes to. I forgot what name it was, but he always hangs out down in Tampa, where he's actually was from. You know how they built him from Venice Beach, California, but found out he's from Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
Actually,
So my
he was
question
he was born in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Oh.
Augusta. But then after that, he was gone. He was gone, and they gave him Tampa, his birthplace. He was born in Augusta, Georgia.
And then remember the CNN building
Mhm.
downtown. At the basement of the CNN building was actually wrestling.
One thing I can give Hogan, I'm not the biggest Hogan fan, but I got to say, for anybody that can rock out a Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child song, is up there. I think that's probably the best Hulk Hogan theme.
Hands down.
Like
I just
hands
never
down.
seen-
The way how Eric Bischoff, I think Eric Bischoff had to spend over millions just to get that song. And now if you get that song today, it's like 9 figures just to get that song to be for WWE. Would WWE ever bring that back? No.
No.
Nope.
I mean, shoot, I would
They
love
won't
them to bring back Rob Zombie's Never Gonna Stop, because I love that theme when Edge came out to that.
That was one of my favorite Edge entrances too.
Yep.
Like,
You ready for this right here? Michael Jackson, all his kids are set for life because Michael Jackson, before he died, he owned all the Elvis records, all the rights for all the Elvis, all the rights for Jimi Hendrix, all the rights for the Beatles,
Told y'all.
plus his.
I ain't gonna lie, if I, me being a
Don't
wrestler,
forget
I
what
would
you
love
tell
to
Ray.
start off with Revolution by the Beatles.
Don't forget what you tell Ray. That's all I'm saying. Don't forget.
So,
I think Ray might be able to outsmart Jim Cornette.
He might be able to now.
Whoa,
He
whoa.
might be able to
whoa.
now.
Right, I love you, man, but I don't know about corny.
No,
Man, my issue with corny, man. When are you gonna grow up into the time? You keep talking about
He can't adapt.
83.
He
Bro,
cannot
it's
adapt.
2021.
I agree with Cornette on a lot of his takes besides women wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
he's
But
way
still
off
though,
on
Chris. But still though, Chris, you at some point you got
But
to
I'd rather
evolve,
hear-
man.
But I'd rather
It's-
hear
we
Jim
got to evolve.
Cornette than Mr. Vince Russo. Oh my God, when Vince Russo said, "Oh, a Japanese will never get over in America," I'm like, "Are you freaking
You
serious? Right now?
serious? Are you serious?
Are you serious?"
But the
Like,
Great Muta.
Great
the
Muta,
Great
boy.
Muta. No, but
In
he
his
had the
thing,
Great
man.
Muta in early 2000, and you put him in, what was it, the Kiss gimmick? No. The Great
that's the-
Muta
And that's the thing with Muta,
can
man.
go
Muta did-
over. I just don't understand Vince Russo. He can
Didn't
do
Russo put Okada in a Green Hornet mask?
like the only thing Vince Russo was really good at when it came to writing was tournaments. We say a lot of things about Vince Russo, but he can book damn good tournaments. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, Deadly Games '98 was good,
and
and the
thing with Great
Intercontinental
Muta-
Championship tournament was good.
He booked Brawl for All too.
Yeah.
The
And
Mayhem '99 one was okay. Personally, I would have not had Bret win the title. I would have had Benoit.
No.
What?
I mean, it would have pushed. I mean, Bret's already been champion,
Not
so
in
why not
WCW.
give it to Benoit?
He wasn't in WCW.
Yeah, like in WCW.
You know what I'm saying? No, Bret had not been champion in WCW. He
He
needed
was the U.S.
more.
champion at WCW.
Like, I think what was like, they did a tournament. I know it was for the vacant title. They turned Sting heel.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, no, Bret Hart hadn't won the world champion in WCW
Mm-mm.
when he came.
Yeah,
when
he
he
won
won
the.
it.
Well, he never won it at that time, or was it?
No, that was his first reign.
That was the first
Oh.
the first time. He was
I thought
U.S.
he
champ
won it
before.
beforehand.
Yeah, he
Oh.
won a U.S. Belt from
He won a
Spain
US title.
a
Mhm.
year earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought he
Yeah.
won the world title.
Mm-mm,
No,
it was a
but
US title.
Bret kind of had to get it too. That was after Owen.
Yep,
No,
yep,
oh,
yep.
oh, yeah,
yep.
that's right. That's right.
Hey,
That's
Ray, do you ever remember Great Muta saying anything at all during his matches? That man was silent. He ain't say nothing.
He didn't cut a promo.
He didn't
You
cut
know,
no promo, ain't do nothing. It
freaking
was
Hart.
still a-
Hart, the manager, Gary Hart, is the one who cut all his promos.
Yep. And he didn't have to say a word, and he was
And
still
probably
great.
one of the greatest entrants ever when he had like that chick had like, I think it was a dude. He had like the genie bottle. I think he was facing off against Tajiri. He dropped the genie bottle, and then we just saw like this green flame, and then here comes the Great Muta. Like, Like,
Jimmy Miller was
Jerry, I
amazing,
love
man.
you. You're an ECW alumnus, but
He was
you don't have to
amazing,
get your
man.
ass kicked.
And he
This
was
is
one
a
of
great
those
build-up.
dudes too. He was one of those dudes that it didn't matter who he went up against. You always thought he was a threat. You always
He's
thought he
still
was a threat.
wrestling to this day.
Yeah, still going today.
I think he's tag teaming with Tajiri last time I checked.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I
Shoot,
used to love
that's
Tajiri
Tajiri.
back
It's
in the
another
day.
person I loved. I mean, him is super crazy. What else? When it comes down to like wrestling and whatnot from ECW, like underrated matches. What's your take on them? What's the most underrated matches that that's like it's a must watch, but it doesn't get talked about a lot?
Well,
You go
back
back
in my
to some
day,
of the cruiserweight matches in WCW. Like I know people like talked about it, but there's one match. It was the April pay-per-view that what is there? Spring Stampede 99. Hoovy versus Blitzkrieg.
Oh, I remember that one. Yes.
The Hoovy driver from the top rope.
Yes.
Bobby Heenan said you can count to 100. He's not getting up.
He ain't getting
like,
up.
Yeah, but that match right there, I want to say it was World War III 98, I think, Kidman versus Hoovy. Kidman does like a running shooting star press on the outside. Just man, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of cruiserweights, Brian Pillman, what's your thoughts?
Ahead of his time.
That little feud he had with Luger was awesome. It was a little feud, but it was awesome.
If you have Brian Pillman today with that attitude and that ability,
yep,
Kenny Omega doesn't exist.
Mm-mm. Particularly if Brian never gets hurt.
Yeah, because him and Stone Cold with the Hollywood Blondes was a great tag team.
Yep.
And when he got hurt, that's what led Stone Cold astray because they couldn't figure out a gimmick for him. So then he left there, went to ECW. They put him in there as a time. And then Vince wanted him to change him to a Russian. Then he said, no, I'm not doing a Russian. And then they changed him, put him in Ringmaster. And the whole Stone Cold gimmick came up with his first wife, sitting down in a beer, drinking a beer. And when he asked his wife, he said, what could it be a good name? He said, you like drinking beer? And then it came out of her mind. She was, I don't know how he put it. He put it somewhere that she had a stone she looked at, and then the refrigerator was right on the other side. And they put it together and he said, why don't you come up with a Stone Cold gimmick? And then the 316 was one of his favorite Bible verse. So he just added the 316 behind it.
So I've seen a lot of like my favorite like wrestling pay-per-view without like it's not even close for me is Royal Rumbles. I love Royal Rumbles. I've seen a lot of I haven't seen 90 yet, but I've been watching like the Royal Rumbles in the 90s. I love my favorite one. With my favorite one, it's not even close for me. Is not in the 90s, but it's actually in 2010 with Edge winning it for the first time over John Cena being the runner-up. That was a fun one to watch.
My favorite event. I'm take back. Ray, you remember those Jim Crockett Memorial Cups? I love all of those.
You know, my favorite one was when the Road Warriors turned on Dusty Rhodes and used a spike in his eyes.
Yeah,
and they pushed that together because he made it look like they really hated each other. But after that match, he taped his eye up and went out to eat with him.
For Nate the Great, 2010 was great. A really great Rumble. But to me, like one of the greatest Royal Rumble matches, because I don't think there was another Royal Rumble like it since, where you have a Rumble based off 3 parts. You had your jobber / hardcore, then you had your then you had your 2 main eventers, and then you had your final 4 like based off of 3 like parts, and that Rumble will always go to Royal Rumble 2001. Like that whole card was amazing. The Dudleys beating Edge and Christian, probably in my opinion one of the top 5 easily the greatest ladder matches I've ever seen. Chris Benoit and Jericho for the IC title. The only match that just I can't say it sucked, but I'm gonna say just like God rest her soul, Chyna and Ivory.
Thank you.
Then you had heel versus
Thank
heel.
you.
Angle with Trish in his corner versus Triple H with the debut of the Motorhead Time to Play the Game with Stephanie McMahon in his corner. Like it was this was a situation where like it was heel versus heel, but back then as a kid, I didn't like Kurt Angle because he beat The Rock, and I'm like nah. But at the time, like okay, Kurt, boo. I'm like, but at the same time, Triple H, yeah, boo. But yeah, Stephanie back then, so I'm like, okay, Stephanie's kind of hot back then in 2001. So let's go with Hunter. Like I would be fine with Hunter versus The Rock at Mania. Until I was wondering, I'm like, wait a minute, Austin's back. Oh, this is perfect. Let's do Austin versus Hunter at WrestleMania. It writes itself. Thank God I was wrong. And the Angle beating Hunter was actually a good thing.
Why are you disrespecting Kurt Angle? One of the greatest comedic wrestlers is one of the greatest wrestlers, period.
that was me as a little kid. Because remember, I was so pro Rock. If anybody beat Rock for the title, they're automatically going to be number 1.
I got you.
How about the Stone Cold and Kurt Angle with the red cowboy hat and all them promos they did backstage and stuff like that.
And then I would have to say the 2 that are runner-up is when Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble.
That one was beautiful.
That one was good too.
And then the other one was when Ric Flair won the Royal Rumble in '92. I watched that one.
That one was good. Another one I liked Royal Rumble was when Shinsuke won it. I was at work.
That was one I was thinking of. That moment where like you had the old guard of what was it? Cena, Ray, and Orton against Shinsuke, Roman, and Finn.
Yes.
That moment right there, it was just
I was
nice.
like, okay, here we go. And then when Shinsuke won, I was like, yes, give him AJ, damn it.
I was so disappointed in that match. I went to WrestleMania 34 just for that match. That's the only reason I went to 34. So disappointed.
It was a WWE style type of match. It wasn't the match I thought it was gonna be. I was thinking Wrestle Kingdom. I'm like, okay, give us Wrestle Kingdom.
I knew it wasn't gonna be Wrestle Kingdom level, but not that. Just man.
And then turning Shinsuke heel just really made my stomach turn. I was like,
how the hell does Ronda Rousey have a better WrestleMania match than Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles? Like, no.
Yeah, that was one of wrestling.
But one thing I'll say about Royal Rumbles, never go see one live. It is the worst event live because every 90 seconds, everybody's standing up to see who's coming out next. So you're constantly up and down, up and down, up and down. It just gets aggravating.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, I've never been to one, but I see that on TV.
Yeah, I did it. I did it for 17 when that was a Cena AJ one. No.
Let me take this question around the room. Best heel turn.
The best heel turn?
Hogan.
Hogan was the best heel turn. The worst heel turn. Austin at WrestleMania 17 is the worst heel turn. You cannot change my mind on that. Because number one, like The Rock was leaving, and then you're about to lose Austin too. And I'm like, guys, we can't have Austin as a heel. But they just said, screw it, let's make it work. Have Austin as a heel, have him beat up the Hardys, have him beat up Lita, have him beat up Michael Cole, Jerry the King, JR, have him beat up Michael Cole, which was probably, as a kid, I was like, boo. But now looking at it now, you're like, yeah. Like Austin was a good heel, but it was also at the time after the invasion angle ended. I know some people wanted to see Austin versus Hogan, but Austin's heel turn really hurt him. Even X-Pac said it. Like, that was the worst freaking turn ever. Like, when X-Pac is saying that is the worst freaking turn ever, I mean, you had Austin basically selling his soul to the devil himself, Vince McMahon, the man that he would like. You pull a gun to him. You put beer on him. You covered his Corvette in cement. I mean, like you made your boss's life a living hell. Now you're about to join him. I'm like, why would you do that?
Well, I'd say the best heel turn all time was Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes because you did not see that coming whatsoever, and all of a sudden they just took the spike and started spiking his eyes and everything else. That was the best heel turn ever because if you look at it, I was a big Road Warrior fan, and all of a sudden they turned on one of my favorite characters, Dusty Rhodes. Because I was all the Dusty Rhodes, Road Warriors, and stuff like that. When I seen him turn on him, I'd sit there and literally cried.
Man, man, that was
I
impactful
believe
for
it.
you.
My dad had to stop me because I was about to take the TV and throw it down on the floor.
Man.
I think a weird heel turn. I'm gonna have to go an ECW turn, like Terry Funk being a heel in late '98 was weird for me. Just watching that, I was like a DVD of it. I'm like, this is weird. Why Terry Funk is back after filming a movie and leaving the WWF, and you bring him back as a heel. Why don't y'all just like it would have been better instead of Jake the Snake Roberts as Tommy Dreamer's partner? Why not surprise be Terry Funk instead? And then when it comes down to the ending, then have Terry, turn on Tommy. At first, the fans would be shocked as hell, and second, they'll be like, best heel turn was in The Rock when he joined the Nate. That wasn't really a heel turn.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he was,
He
the
just
blue
joined the
chipper.
group.
Yeah, he just joined the group.
That's all he did was join the group.
If you want to talk about the great Rock heel turn, him being the corporate champion.
Hollywood Rock was the best heel turn to me.
God, Hollywood Rock.
Yeah, that was the best one for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
he
Hollywood
made that
Rock.
promo
He was
about
so
the Lakers
great.
beating the Kings.
So I'm gonna do worst first, and I'm gonna do the best. That this one I read about, but I didn't watch it, but I read about it, and so I know it's not quite the same, but I'll sort of go with it anyways. Worst one has to be when this one was more recent. When Becky Lynch came back, the 26 seconds, that was how they did that. I'm probably gonna be talking about it for a while because of how bad it was.
But was that a heel turn though?
No,
I wouldn't
Because
call
she
it
was
more of a heel
already.
turn.
I don't remember her turn.
It made me hate Becky.
Facts.
If you
didn't hate it before, you hated it.
We were like, really?
If you didn't hate it before, you hated it in. That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think the plan
so
was
I
for her to
found
come
it.
back that way, though.
Right.
I mean, Sasha not
favorite
being
heel-
able to wrestle was.
Did we ever find out why Sasha wasn't there?
I heard she
This
had
man
COVID.
had a
That's
black
what I
ball.
heard.
I heard it was like COVID constrictions.
Yeah, COVID concerns. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But my bit,
And
but
the best one that I'm reading about, read about, excuse me. It was back in WrestleMania 13. Bret Hart.
The double turn.
What?
The double turn.
mhm.
Yeah.
My best two heel turns. One was when Barry Windham turned on Lex Luger in that tag team title match against Ole and Arn Anderson, and that propelled Barry to be a horseman. Then my second favorite heel turn was when Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, that was good.
When Marty Jannetty was trying to run out the window.
Yeah. He tried to run out the window to escape.
Like another heel turn that doesn't really get talked about when DX was reunited in 2002, only for Triple H to pedigree Shawn.
Oh, facts.
And it gave us probably the greatest 2-year feud, I think, of all time. Like hands down at the company at the time.
Yeah.
How about
It sucked
Evolution
that
turning
when
on
Shawn
Randy
only
Orton?
got one.
I was about to say that.
That was a good one.
Like Shawn only got one win out the deal, and that was actually 2 wins if you count the elimination champion.
But that was a good one too when they turned on Randy. That was a good one too.
Now, Now here's
One of
a
my
question.
favorites was Bailey.
Oh yeah,
Bailey.
that was good. Yeah, yeah.
Now here's a question for everybody. What are your what's your like favorite match of all time?
Damn.
My favorite what? One more time?
Favorite match of all time.
God, that's hard.
I have 3.
Off of the top of
but
my head,
I-
I'm going
I
Shawn
can't
Undertaker,
decide between these 3.
25.
I can't
I
decide
think-
between 3, but I have 3.
I'm just gonna use that one. Michaels versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 25.
That's
I
a
have
good
Shawn
one.
Michaels
10,
versus
but-
Ric Flair.
That's a good one.
I got 10.
So my 3 are Triple H versus Undertaker when Shawn Michaels was the referee. The I Quit match between Miz and John Cena.
What?
And-
Wait, you like that one?
Yes, yes, I
Why?
did.
Wow.
I
didn't
hated
do a
that.
storyline
Like,
behind it.
Cena
I
got
don't
his
have a
ass
storyline.
kicked the
match.
whole match, and
I
then
hated that match,
he does
man.
one move and Miz quits.
Yeah. That's a bull jump.
It's just
That's some
he's the
bull jump.
younger generation, guys.
Well,
And the final one was it was a tag team elimination chamber match on the women's side, and that was when Sasha Banks and Bailey. I'm sorry. Yeah. It was Sasha Banks and Bailey ended up with the title.
well, my 3 is Triple H and HBK and Ric Flair and Steen, and Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA and I Quit match.
My 3 were Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat, Booker T versus Goldberg, just because Booker T beat him clean. And my 3rd favorite match was Lita versus Trish on Raw. That was like the first time you ever saw 2 women be the main event on Raw. So I gotta give him props on that.
I read about that today, actually.
Really?
Scratch that. I saw a documentary on that today.
Okay.
I didn't know we got 3 up. Well, my first, right now, my first. My other 2 is Triple H versus Cactus Jack at the Royal Rumble,
Yes.
Remember that
and
one.
then
Yes.
Triple H versus The Rock SummerSlam '98 ladder match.
Mm.
And I'm
Man, I
still
got
mad at
10, but I'm
Triple
gonna
H,
drop
man.
it to like
And I'm still
5.
and I'm still
I
mad
mean,
at
I get-
Triple H. And I'm
Why
still
is
mad
that?
at Triple H because when Booker fought him that first time,
Oh.
Booker was whooping his ass. He was whooping his ass. And then at the last minute, Triple H come out of nowhere. Like he just disregarded WCW. Now that second time, I got you because the second time they fought, Triple H was coming off an injury.
Yeah,
I
that
got
was
you on
fine.
that one. He put him over. And I got you on that. But he never gave Booker a rematch after that. So
The WrestleMania match was just oof.
Yeah, I hated the fact like a pedigree, and then 33 seconds later gets the pin 1, 2, 3. Like Booker could have easily kicked out of it.
yeah, and like I said, that was just because he was just coming back off an injury. And he tried to reestablish himself. But that first match, Booker was whipping his ass. Then he just came back out of nowhere.
Now, to me, SummerSlam with having Goldberg get beat the way he got beat at SummerSlam, I'm like, really? Triple H has an injured back, and that got leaked online. And then also his wedding to Stephanie was also leaked online. I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna lose the title. He's gonna get some time off. Nope. Like there's one part of that match that I was screaming at my TV to the point I almost threw my remote. It's when Triple H was getting out of the pod. Here comes Shawn, super kicks the hell out of Hunter, and I'm like, pin him now, pin him. So that way, it still continues a feud between Shawn and Hunter. It gives a reason for Hunter to come back and beat the crap out of Shawn. I'm like, damn, I didn't even get like 3 seconds out of the chamber.
I want to go
Okay,
to DB.
DB,
DB,
how about
what's your
yours?
favorite 3?
Yeah, a lot of the same. I mean, Steamboat Savage. There was a Steamboat Flair. That was good. One that we're not mentioning. Well, 2 that we're not mentioning. That Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart was a classic.
That's good.
And then obviously the TLC match with Edge, Christian, the Hardy Boys, and the Dudleys.
Which
Great
one?
match,
The
too.
first one or the second one?
The first one, man, because you're getting something that it was just unbelievable. The second one, you're like looking like you're waiting for them to one up it the whole time, but the
Right.
first one was unbelievable. But I'll go a different route too. Is Gargano and Ciampa in NXT.
Ooh,
Any
yes.
match that they fight each other in was a classic, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the definition of fight forever.
How about Cactus Jack and Terry Funk in the barbed wire match? Firecrackers and everything.
Yep. I remember that. Yeah.
I got 5 for you guys. I got 5.
No,
5.
we're doing 3.
So you gonna do 3?
I was just
Okay.
messing with you.
Yeah.
I gotta do 3. All right. Well, number 3, Mankind and The Rock. I Quit. Royal Rumble '99. Number 2, got it. You got to. I'm sure nobody said this one. Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. No Way Out 2001. And number 1, one of my favorite matches. I always just something about The Undertaker and Mankind Hell in a Cell will always be like that one, but that would be too simple. What about like Triple H versus The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania 28? That one was so good. I had a tear in my eye. The street fight.
Street fight. Yeah.
All right, let's say how who goes back to the long way. Who in this room besides me had to sit in line to get their wrestle tickets the day of the event?
One time. One time.
One time it was a Monday Night Raw.
I can't answer that question because I don't remember because I've
I had to
only
do it
been to
3
one
times.
match in person, one wrestling event in person.
Okay.
One time and it was Smackdown, and I'm so glad I went because it was the return of the Dead Man.
Which time?
When he took on Mark Henry on SmackDown, and at the end of the match, Undertaker just did his normal thing, and then the Druids came and took Mark Henry away.
Shout out to Mark Henry doing this thing over AEW.
Shout out to those Druids who picked up Mark Henry. It was only
I know, right? I know. Mark Henry's done lost a lot of weight now, but he was a big dude back then.
Like my mom, Danielle, was freaking out. She's like, "What are those? Is that his disciples?" I'm like, "No, that's the Druids." She said, "They gonna kill him? Why the black man?" I'm like, "Mama, no."
Kill the black man. They gonna kill the black man.
Like, no, it's the Phenom.
Oh man.
And just watching that entrance live I'm so grateful that I went to that show and witnessing an Undertaker entrance. Like it was bone chilling.
Who witnessed the Undertaker as me, Mark Callis? Who seen that in person and live?
Me.
When he was with the Skyscraper with Dan Spivey.
I think I remember Undertaker competing in the one match I went to, but I don't remember who he was facing against. This was way back. This happened. They had a wrestling event back in the late 2000s.
Yep.
And they had it competed in Dallas, but I don't remember who he was facing against. But I can't remember him being there.
Yeah.
Somebody had to go one-on-one with the Undertaker.
One. You won one-on-one with the Undertaker.
He might have been MVP. But
hey, who remembers the WCW Monday Night Nitro when Ric Flair handcuffed himself in the middle of the ring in Baltimore?
I saw it. I wasn't there, but I saw it. I was
live at that one.
I wasn't there.
Was that the one he stripped down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He handcuffed himself, stripped down, and everything else. He wouldn't leave the ring.
Yeah.
That's the first match. That's the first one I went to when I was stationed up in Baltimore. And that's when I took my ex-wife, who was married at the time, to her first wrestling event.
Okay.
Yeah. He handcuffed himself. He wouldn't leave the ring. He handcuffed himself right during the break in his drawers. And he sat there it took him an hour and it took him 25 minutes to get him unhandcuffed to get him out of the ring for the next match to start.
In his drawers.
Piss off! You go to commercial. I'll be naked when you come back.
He was gonna go all the way down, and they stopped him, and then that's when he handcuffed himself to the ring.
Oh shoot! Like I know, like this is like my generation though. When Jay Lethal imitated Ric Flair,
that was funny as crap. That was funny.
God.
That was funny. They still showing that.
He's still doing it. He's good too.
Yeah,
Like the
was
fact that
funny.
he can
6
do
seconds,
Ric
that was
Flair
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
Macho Man,
Yeah.
the Black
You know how that-
Machismo.
You know how that segment came out with Ric Flair and him, right? Ric Flair caught him imitating himself in the hallway. And he said, "Oh, that's good. We're going to put the fortune out there. We're going to put him out there, have him come out, and we're going to play Ric Flair versus Ric Flair."
Man, that
Like the
reminds me
one
back
thing
in the
with Ric
day,
Flair that
man,
always gets
because
me is when he drops his jacket,
Yeah.
his blazer. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And that kind of takes you back to the days. You got a young, because back in that time you had a young AJ, young
Mhm.
Samoa Joe.
Bobby Roode was in that group, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James
He was.
Storm.
Mm-hmm. All those
Was
girls
Nigel
were young at
McGuinness?
that time.
Oh, Desmond Wolf. Was he there?
I think Desmond Wolf was in Fortune for it.
Yeah.
I think he was.
I feel like he was the fourth.
I know, like, didn't they also they replaced somebody for Christopher Daniels? I do know that for Fortune.
Kazarian?
Nah, Kazarian joined the group with Angel.
Okay.
Mm. Okay.
I think they kicked Bobby Roode and James Storms out and put Kazarian and Angel in.
Okay.
All
Like,
right,
it's been a
we got
while.
here-
I don't have Impact Plus, so I can't really confirm it.
I ain't
All
got
right, I'm going
it.
to get everybody's opinion. Do y'all really like this format right here we're doing right now?
Yes.
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 Anybody against it?
No.
Nope.
Because you know
Too
what?
much fun.
We're having too much fun. Guess what? We've been on for an hour and 36 minutes.
It don't
Y'all
seem
couldn't-
like it.
Y'all don't even realize that y'all been on for an hour and 36 minutes.
Don't
And
seem like it.
when you talk about a show that's been on for an hour and 36 minutes and we still got more content, we still got a lot of stuff going on. And we've been having five people on here for the last 35 minutes enjoying this. So in your comments, if you can reach the comments, do y'all really like this format out there? Interact. We just picked up one more person. So you can drop the comments in there. If you want to add some stuff, we'll talk, we'll answer your comments. This is going to be a standard format for a while because, you know, I think just sitting here talking about Raw and SmackDown and telling how bad it is, and we just fall in line with everybody else. But I mean, we got some old people, we got the young people generation, we got the mixed generation here, and we can, you know, go back from the old days to the good days to the now. And, you know, we got the baby bloomer up there, Nate, you know, he brings his stuff in there too. So, I mean, we got a good mixture of generation right here. So,
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
But guys, this is where I'm gonna have to leave you because 6 o'clock in the morning we'll be here.
I feel you.
I
I
gotta
was
get
thinking the
ready
same
for
I
thing.
work.
feel you,
Willie.
brother.
Yeah.
I feel you,
I
brother.
used to do that, and then I decided I got disability, 80% disability, and I decided just gonna go ahead and retire.
Free
Yeah,
time.
this was fun. Love each and every one of you. I love interacting with more wrestling fans, and hopefully I get to be on here more often. So, but with that, love each and every one of you. If you guys have not followed me, like it says on the bottom, it says Mount Bully. Cover mostly all of wrestling, Chicago Bears content. Yeah, that needs more than
Me and
just
you need to
water
talk
right
about
now.
the Bears
The
because
Bulls.
your boy should be gone. Nagy should be gone.
Oh yeah, he will. If he's not, then I'm writing off 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
Hey, Nagy might got somebody. He might got some black market on the
Pictures or
owners or something.
Yeah, he got some pictures.
I'm
of
actually
something.
surprised Nagy was
No, it's not even that. It's just the McCaskies are disgustingly greedy. That's the problem. Yeah.
Agree with you on that.
And
Hey,
also,
you
I
like
do
comment?
the Bulls. I do the Cubs. I'm about to start doing the Blackhawks, even though they're going through their trials and tribulations. And yes, we also have the Ruthless Attitude podcast on Saturday night. If you guys, any of you guys want to join, just let Darion and myself know, and we will gladly have you guys on there. We will be talking about Nick Khan might be the one taking over for Vince.
I don't
Well,
see that happening. I just don't.
I don't know why, but we'll talk about that. We're also going to we're going to recap NXT War Games and who won their pick'ems and how everybody felt about the show, and then we'll go from there. So until then, love you guys. I'm out.
I might bring my chair for that one.
Yeah.
Later, man. Have a good night.
All right, DB, how you like your first time on the show?
I enjoy it, man. It's typically we're talking, college sports on a Monday night, but like this is something that the guys on my podcast they're foreign to. So it's nice to be able to get and talk to guys like you about it, because you know the community is out there, but the closeness that I have with people, they're not in that community, so they don't get it. But yeah, this was awesome. I appreciate you guys letting me on. So, but yeah, I'm gonna get off here too, and once again, much love, much respect. I enjoy what y'all do, and I appreciate the invite. Anytime you want me on, just hit me up. I'll be more than happy to come.
You're into
kick it with y'all.
wrestling. You'll know when the link comes out. You can jump on anytime you want to. So
Yep.
Excellent. Well, appreciate it again, guys. Y'all have a good night. All right.
You too. I love your background,
Thank you for coming on,
man.
man.
Oh, thanks,
Appreciate
man.
you.
Thanks.
I've been meaning to
Work
say that
in
also.
progress. Thank you. Later,
man.
guys.
Free
So,
do drop.
I mean, all these. I mean, these two guys were they. These two guys brought in some good insights in the show and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do my girl wrong, man. They do my girl wrong.
So Nate, y'all really like this format though better?
Yes. I do.
Yes.
I've been wanting to be this. This is what I've been wanting.
Yeah,
Because
this is good.
I mean, I've been looking at different podcasts, and they're just going over different matches and AEW and stuff like that. And by just talking about it and telling the outside what we know about ourselves and what we've seen and some of the great matches, people realize that there's more content out there, just what it is today. I mean, because you still got the younger kids that don't know all about wrestling from back in the old days and stuff like that. So, I mean, by bringing that up and intertwining the show, I think we just got a good format going right now.
Works for me.
So,
That's for sure.
all right, y'all got anything else you want to discuss before Nate takes us out of here?
Other than that, free do drop, and I'll holler at y'all next week.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
You disrespecting my girl, man. You disrespecting my girl.
Hey, I'm just ready for her to do the dewdrop move.
Yeah, no.
I'm ready for her to say. I'm ready for her to drop the dew.
But I can see dewdrop being dropped as a competitor.
Oh man.
Hey, hold up before you take us out, Nate. You know what I want to see? Dewdrop come out with a Mountain Dew, pour it on somebody, and then do the dewdrop on them.
Right.
Awesome. Oh man, I like her, man. I just think she got that something that they can make money off of. I just think she could be special, man. Let her do her thing. Come on now.
Yeah.
Just let her, Vince lets her do it.
One last thing I have before we did this to close. There's one tag team in the WWE right now that they just need a split, and I can see it happening in the next few weeks. Actually, Happy Corbin and Madcap.
Oh, hell yeah! Break them up.
They need to split.
Break that up.
Break that up.
It's ain't Happy Corbin anyway.
I can see it happening in the next few weeks. Actually,
let it happen.
Especially because of the Battle Royale.
Yeah. Let it happen. Let it happen quick. Oh, and real quick, ain't no way in the hell I ever believe the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world. Nope. Ain't gonna believe it. Nope. Ain't
know what?
Mine must have been drunk.
Y'all come back next week.
Really?
We should do tag teams. We'll do tag teams next week.
Okay.
What we're gonna do? We're gonna do Young Bucks copying the Rock and Roll Express. And the
Bring it all, right? Bring it all, man.
Bring it all down. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, because if you go back and look at it, if you choose anybody just for the fact they're keeping the king, the head of the table line going, it should be the Usos. If anything, it should be the Usos. Young Bucks top 5, I'll give you that. But I ain't giving them number 1. Hell no, I ain't giving them number 1. Nope.
I don't even give them the top 5. I give them the number 1 on the most, non-tag team.
Right. Most aggravating list.
Or the most copycat.
Yep.
I probably give them number 2 under the most aggravating. Under Happy Corbin.
It's so terrible. I just don't see it with them. Maybe it's just me and my age. I just don't see the appeal to them. I really don't.
What, the Chippendale? You don't like the Chippendale gimmick?
Yeah, I don't like them, period. I don't like them fools, period, man. Oh, looking like a broke Midnight Express. No.
I didn't look like Midnight Express. They look like Rock and Roll Express with them things hanging off their pants and everything else. All right, one quick thing. I seen something on the Facebook. FTR versus Rock and Roll Express, and a match coming up. It's not gonna be on TV. It's just gonna be on like a house show.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, FTR and Rock and Roll Express.
Shout out to Rock and Roll. They about 70 and still doing their thing.
Still going, man.
Yeah, it's still going. You 70 can take a bump. That's amazing.
And then if Robert Gibson is not with Ricky Martin, Ricky Martin's with his son.
Yeah,
his son's on the independent level too. So
facts.
And they had a tag team championship together now. So, but yeah, we do tag teams. Okay. And if anybody mentioned the Young Bucks on their top 5 list, I might get up and you see that commercial with Jonathan get up and walk away. I might do the same thing.
I might get up and walk away. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Everybody gonna talk about them damn Young Bucks. Hell no.
Especially as Damon Hernandez come on and say anything about the Young Bucks. I might just have to
ban him. Have to ban him.
I'm about to bring me a brown bag.
You talk to Freddie actually. No, here's an idea. Every time somebody, even if it's not wrestling, every time says something that is crazy out of their mind, just play that. Where Jonathan, not even the whole commercial, just the part where Jonathan goes up and walks away.
I can isolate that. I can take that commercial and go right to that point and put it in the own video by itself.
Yeah, do it.
It's it in the group.
Yeah, do it.
And every time Freddie talk about the Lakers, just play
it. Or Aaron Rodgers.
Team of 500. 500. You got all them vets and they 500.
Oh no,
Coach Dante.
They whipping Boston right now.
But what's the quarter?
They need a
third quarter. A little bit over
Boston's
2 minutes left.
Come back and win it if history.
Damn, I let y'all
win it.
Nah, they're almost up. They're up almost by 20. They ain't losing this one.
Yeah, they ain't losing that one.
If you know what they said back in the old days? If they pick on you, that means people don't like you. You know, they like you. If they don't pick on you, then they don't like you.
Right.
This is
right. How Dusty Rhodes said back in the day, when they talk about you, they love you. When they don't, they hate
you. That's the roll, baby.
That's the roll, baby. That's the rolls.
I'm a thumb of a plumber. I love my kids. I love my kids very much.
Yes. Shout out Dusty Rhodes. Shout out Dusty Rhodes. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. Love Dusty Rhodes back in the day.
Yeah. So go ahead, Nate.
Take us out, Nate.
This has been another episode of the ASAP Wrestling Hour. That has been an hour.
How we're going on wrestling an hour and a half.
We're going to wrestling 2 hours. What you talking about?
2 hours. We're about to be 2.
Another episode of an hour. ASAP Wrestling Hour, 47 minutes and 55 seconds. With Greg Cruz, William Morgan, Chris Robinson, and myself. And we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Woo! Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports all plays.